Déjame una vez, te perdono.
Welcome back to the Weld Channel. In this episode, we're going to build a temporary support for the transmission so that when we pull the engine, we can leave the transmission in the frame and this support will support it. Duh. Thanks for a awesome explanation, Mr. Obvious. What an idiot. In this video, we want to make a support that will support the transmission so we can pull the engine, unbolt the engine from the transmission, pull the engine, and leave the transmission in the vehicle. I don't want to pull the transmission out at this point. I just want to unbolt the engine from the transmission or unbolt the transmission from the engine, however you want to look at it. We'll remove the dirt pan off the bottom and unbolt the torque converter from the flywheel, and we can just pull the engine slightly ahead and then straight up, and we'll leave the transmission in here. Now to do this, my plan is to run a tube across the top just above the bell housing and drop 2 threaded rods down through the tube and pick up the tabs with the holes on each side of the transmission. And from that cross tube, drop another tube down onto the frame on each side of the transmission. So that's kind of what we're going to do here. And right now we have to measure across, figure out how long those tubes have to be, and get it welded and drilled up. And that's kind of what we're doing here in this picture. So first we need to locate the holes for the threaded rod. We're using this 1.5 inch square tubing, 14 gauge wall, and Joe's going to measure it out before drilling the 2 holes.
Déjame otra vez, no te conozco. Yo te di todo. Déjame sola hoy en la mañana. Déjame para allá, se va la gana. Yo te di todo. Siempre me dices que me amas, pero siempre en la cama. Cuando digo que te amo, sé que no te vale nada, no me juegues.
Now with the cutoff wheel, I cut the 2 vertical tubes.
Es como ajedrez. Siempre me dices.
Now it's time to weld the 1.5 inch square tube uprights that I just cut to the cross member. I hold the uprights in place and square them with the 2 heavy-duty magnets. Here all I'm doing is tacking them in place. Joanne needs a little practice on her welding, so I'm going to let her weld these up solid.
Confía en ti, en mis secretos, y yo viví por ti, sentí completo. En el final, no importa. Siempre me dices que me amas, pero siempre en la cama. Cuando digo que te amo, sé que no te vale nada. No me juegues como ajedrez. Siempre me dices que me amas, pero siempre en la cama. Cuando digo que te amo.
Now to do a test fit, we tacked the channels to the bottom of the uprights and spaced those out to set on the 2 chassis frames. And we're just tacking them here now to make sure that they are positioned correctly and to be able to set on each side of the frame of the hot rod. Oops. Well, that didn't work. We need to narrow these up a little bit. So I got to cut the channels off the bottom, reposition them, and weld them back on. Measure once, cut twice, whatever that saying is. Oh well.
Siempre me dices que me amas, pero siempre en la cama cuando digo que te amo. Sé que no te vale nada, no me juegues como ajedrez. Siempre me dices que me amas, pero siempre en la cama cuando digo que te amo. Sé que no te vale.
Okay, so finally here we've got the support setting on the frame rails. We've got the threaded rod going through to the tabs in the transmission, and that'll support the front end of the transmission. The tail end of the transmission at the drive shaft is supported by the cross member. So now all we have to do is pull the 6 bolts out that hold the transmission to the engine, take the dustpan off, and then unbolt the torque converter from the engine flywheel, and we'll be able to slide the engine forward slightly and lift it straight out. So that'll allow us to do the engine swap that we want to do next time. So that's it. Until next time, we appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Until next time, take care. We'll talk to you later.
Ajedrez.